before the show, not just after. So suck that, John Oliver. I'm your host, the infamous Orion, and I am a Schmo.
And I'm Chiron, and I'm also a Schmo.
Fuck. We are approaching the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Man. I don't know where to start.
Yeah, no, we were having this big discussion, everybody, about fucking CSGO blowing up. And of course that leads to crypto. And it just reminds me of the fact that I'm kind of grateful I have a fucking job and that I'm able to earn money every week. And I don't have to rely on these fucking systems that just support like the 1%. Not even the 1%, like the 0.1 of 1%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I should say, everybody, working's not terrible. You're not a fucking coal miner. There's plenty of great jobs nowadays. Just
there are. You could be doing a lot worse.
Yeah.
Man, what was it? I watched something this week that was about the current state of the gig economy, and I will say, if you're in that, you can do better. Please try and do better and get the hell out of that, because holy shit, is that dire.
Dude, it's all pretty dire. Like, I guess the main theme of all this, right, is like the idea that there's like a lot of grifting shit going on right now. And just like those core values of just working hard and just like not being a piece of shit and thinking that everything's owed to you, believe it or not, will take you pretty far nowadays.
Man, have you heard that there is I don't even know what you quite call it. We need better words other than just like a gig economy app, because that doesn't capture the horror that is the reality of our economic system that allows these things to happen. But for lack of a better word, the gig economy app that I think was put out by, I want to say Amazon, that pays people for doing tasks so that they can get data to train their AI machines.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. So it'll either be like physically doing something in some cases, but more often it's either like data verification, where they just need more people to see a thing, because the people, like real people, not AI, or looking for something specific that they're having trouble finding, some sort of like gap that they think exists in their data. And it's gig economy tier stuff where you get paid like $5 per task, and it is awful and I hate it.
I don't think like the gig economy apps are inherently evil. I think they're cool if you're like retired and you just want like a little hobby to do to keep you busy.
I do.
You think so? Okay, yeah, no,
I really strongly do, because they, at the point that either party in one of these apps is being paid is when they become evil. When you look at where something like, I don't even know if it was actually Airbnb at the time, but where things like Airbnb started, where it was not necessarily pay someone to use their house or to use a house instead of going to a hotel, but it was more like a house swap. Conceptually, I think that's fine. When you have something that is a ride sharing app, I think conceptually that's fine. And the idea of paying the driver for a nominal amount of the wear and tear and the gas to their car is totally fine. But it should be ride sharing, not ride paying. It's like if I'm driving from Detroit to Grand Rapids and somebody else needs to drive from Detroit to Grand Rapids, sure, pay me $10, hop in the back seat, let's go do it together. That is 100% fine. It's when I need to go from Detroit to Grand Rapids and you have made it your job to drive people there and I'm going to pay you $30 that the economies of it become deeply exploitative.
Oh, yeah.
And these companies are able to sit in a legislative blind spot that shouldn't be allowed to exist.
Fair. No, I agree. Because like,
Yeah,
aren't
and
like all employees at that point considered contractors and they're owed like no benefits?
yeah, and it's only recently that California, I think it is, passed a law that is supposed to get rid of that, but that's only the case for California. And thankfully, they're obviously the biggest U.S. state and probably one of the largest revenue centers for these companies. But yeah, they're still going to keep mistreating their employees everywhere else because they can get away with it.
Because fuck you.
And then they offer things that are more expensive, right? That's the thing that I find so disgusting about all of these things. And I saw it pointed out really well in this piece. I wish I could remember who it was by. It was pointing out how supercharged everything got around the pandemic. Where you had these people with, I'll say it, more money than sense, spending way overspending on these, food delivery type apps in particular, that has allowed them to get this foothold they have. And I feel like a part of it is also really exemplified in that you have these people who are interacting with these systems that didn't interact with the systems that preceded them. Like, how many people our age hailed and paid for a cab ever?
Like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had the privilege, I guess you could say, of seeing my parents do it a lot when we'd visit Chicago when I was younger. So I built up over the years a pretty solid idea of what it should cost to get a cab from like one of the hotels we were staying at to downtown Chicago on Michigan Avenue to go to the shopping malls they had there. And to see how much expensive it has gotten now is fucking insane. Like, it's like 4 or 5 times the cost, and they just get away with it because they just get to keep making it more and more expensive.
I don't know. Well, we were in Chicago like last year, and we had to hail a taxi because, believe it or not, Uber kind of fucking sucks.
Doesn't it just?
Yeah. Like, okay. Shout out to everybody working at Uber. I don't care what you do there. I understand you need to get paid, but fuck Uber rates. Fuck Uber rates so hard. A fucking traditional taxi was like half of what the going rates were at the time.
Yeah, exactly. It has followed the pace of inflation. What do you know?
Yeah.
And it's because they had this changeover period that they've been allowed to get away with hiding how grotesque their costs have gotten, where they had these at the start, they had like these premium services that were more expensive, right? And then over the years they shifted their tiers around and moved their pricing structure around until now the original landscape of it doesn't even exist in their own systems, and it's obfuscated them just jacking prices up constantly.
Yeah.
I did remember where I had heard this about. It was Some More News put out a video this week on the high cost of convenience, where they go through a variety of the major gig economy services. Does a really good job as a sort of a roundup of how awful all of them are in their own special ways.
Think about it, kids. I know kids are listening. One day you can get a college degree, and you can use that degree in a very vague sense for a gig economy app.
Man, yeah. That is by far my best tip for anybody who's looking to go to college is like, get a degree, not necessarily in the sciences, but in like something that can be applied in multiple industries. People give shit to like MBAs, I think justifiably, because the MBAs deserve to get some shit, but they're not struggling to find jobs, more or less. People need accountants, turns out.
I will say, I think with a journalism degree, those are becoming rarer nowadays because obviously journalism is kind of dying as an industry.
It's true. Yeah. That's really sad, yeah, but it's true.
It really is. I think it's not so much what degree you get, it's what skills you get out of it, and how do you learn how to pitch those skills to an employer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't do any tech stuff, but my job is pretty much like just journalism for tech. I go out and investigate tech defects and then report them now.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you skills that you can apply in other situations, for sure.
Yeah. Most important thing you can learn in college is just like how to apply your skills in like multiple facets.
And past that, there's also nothing wrong with getting a job. I mean, part of it is that the way that people get promoted through companies has changed so much is really problematic too, where one of the big reasons that you didn't need a job before, or didn't need a degree before, was that you could start in like a manufacturing position, and through legitimate hard work and proving yourself to be improving in ways outside of the specifics of your job, you could prove yourself worth going into like a QA/QC role or a supervisor role or HR or accounting, but within that same company. And I remember, what was this? It was probably 14, 15 years ago, I want to say. My mom got laid off from her employer as they were shifting huge portions of their workforce over to India. And in the couple of years leading up to that point, because the writing was on the wall for a while, it was really interesting hearing her talk about the cultural differences in the way that people dealt with their employment, where at that point in India, it was already extremely typical for people to jump between jobs like every 18 months to 2 years, because that was the only way that you'd get a pay raise, was going somewhere else. You didn't get internal promotions. And from her perspective, it was frustrating because she kept having to deal with new people and new trainers, and just like this constant churn of like, okay, who am I going to be working with this quarter? That was always an uncertainty. But that wasn't the case in the US at that point. It is a relatively recent thing that cultural element of, if you want a promotion, you kind of have to, or if you want a major promotion, you basically have to look outside your company, has came to the West broadly.
Can I share a little anecdote?
Please.
Yeah. This is someone I know looking for a job. Apparently, they were trying to promote up to a different department in their job, and they got an email from HR basically asking, hey, we're seeing you're trying to promote up. What's your skills in this very specific proprietary software that only this department can access? And of course, they don't work in that department. So they were denied the promotion on that basis of never having worked in that department. It was like fucking JRPG classing kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. And how do you even settle for like expect loyalty from your company when stuff like that's happening? I think that's
it's really hard. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I've been definitely dealing with myself at my company, is that I'm having to try and like weigh the pros and cons of like reading the tea leaves of what's happening at the executives level versus what's happening within my department, and trying to like find that point of like, okay, is it still worth it to keep being here? What's going to happen in the next 2 years? Am I going to have a job in 2 years, kind of thing?
Oh yeah. That's also the really fucked up part. Companies are so layoff sudden. Like, it's not like they're wanting to lay off people, I think, but they know it's always an option, and that it's a really quick way to fix a lot of problems.
Absolutely. I will say, even though I don't think I'm actually going to say that, I'll put it this way. I know for a fact what business schools the CEO of my company went to, and I do not have high opinions of those business schools, but I won't say what they were because it probably wouldn't be enough, but it's more than I'd be comfortable giving away.
That's fair.
But I have been relatively surprised. I don't want to say impressed, that gives too much credit, but surprised in a pleasant way how have been opportunities that someone in his position could have used as a way to leverage into doing layoffs as a cost cutting thing. And they haven't done that. They have gone for alternative measures instead that seemed to have had the same effect that they were going for, that didn't involve not paying people that they already have employed. So I do appreciate that element, and that is a large part of what has given me pause of like, I think things are okay for now.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah. I will tell you about it after, because I don't want to give away too much on a public forum, but it was a really particular interesting one that I hope I'll be able to share at some point, because I found it really fascinating to see the way that they approached it.
I'm very fascinated by the CEO of my company as well. Just because he's not American. I think that's very interesting to see a non-American CEO play in a very American space.
Yeah.
Regardless, was there any news? I mean, we talked about CSGO's economy blowing up, which is...
Yeah, I guess we can put a more of a fine point on that. Valve this week announced a new mechanic for CSGO 2, I guess it is technically now, that allows users to take, I think it's 5 weapon skins that they have that are at a particular lower rarity, and basically trade them in for a random weapon skin at a higher rarity. And these higher rarity skins were worth serious amounts of money on the CSGO sort of gray markets, where they would either be gambled for or outright sold for, at times, tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the prospect of these items being able to just be traded for has effectively collapsed the market for them in a pretty major way. So it's been, to a degree, very funny to see it happen, because the CSGO skin economy is so notorious for being full of grifters and scammers and just very explicit, outright gambling in some very gross ways. And then on the other hand, seeing people have what they expected to be legitimate personal financial sort of what's the hell is the word, nest eggs that they had, just sitting there, kind of destroyed, sucks too. And there is some informal reporting that there have been some people who've taken their own lives as a result of losing these pretty major financial positions that they thought that they had. That is really sad, obviously, and not good. So yeah, it's been a tricky thing to weigh the different sides of it. I was reading as well that apparently a large part of why this has been like the grifter side of it, right? The finance bro part of it has been as successful as it is because on average, the CSGO skin economy has been outperforming traditional bonds. And that real fact tricked people into investing more money than they should have known was safe in such an obviously unregulated thing.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing for me, right? CSGO is a fucking video game. It always felt like, to me, a lot of that economy was based around ignorance and naivete. For people who are obviously younger, who are going to experience, there's a generational gap between the person that would go for a CSGO skin versus someone who knows what a fucking stock is, you know?
It's true. Yeah, absolutely.
So I always felt like this was kind of ripe for, what's the word I'm looking for? The naivete hit a ripening, if you will.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The it's a tower of cards, right? And it's been swaying for a very long time.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's devastating. I can truly feel for some people who have their whole lives turned upside down by this. At the same time, this has been going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Exactly. That is a large part of my position on it is that it is not news that this is a problem that Valve has acknowledged is a problem. And to think that the gravy train is going to run forever is just what? Hubris, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll never happen to me. Of course it's going to happen to you. It happens to everybody. You can't have it go forever. You have to, like, that is to a degree the same thing that happens with all financial scams. And I don't think this is necessarily a scam, but it happens in the same way for all financial systems, is that if you are making money, fundamentally someone else has lost the opportunity to make that money. Someone else has to always be left with the bag. And getting involved in that game of hot potato with that bag holding is always going to end with somebody getting burned. And it's just a matter of how well people are being made aware of that reality.
Yeah. Did I show you the propaganda table of like Bitcoin like rates?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know.
Yeah. One second, I'm looking through our chat logs to see. I swear to God, I'm so fucking funny in these logs. I wish I could bring it to the show. Yeah, no, I found it. It's fucking. One second, I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's also been the case of, like, for me at least, there obviously is a lot of news that we don't talk about, but I do still follow a lot of news. And holy shit, is there a lot of things happening day to day that are just terrifying. Yeah, I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah. It's shit like this, and then seeing this Bitcoin table that I'm showing Cairo right now. A sucker is born every minute. It has never been more true.
Absolutely. My favorite example of it, if I could, is the Dan Olson.
The line goes up.
Oh, which one is it? I think it's the This Is Financial Advice one. It's one of the two. Let me double check here. But it's the video of his where he goes through not cryptocurrency, but the GameStop BBY bubble thing, because it is a significant portion of that video is spent looking at what is happening in the aftermath of it. How are people responding now that the stock has crashed, that it's already gone from this peak? And there is a fascinating amount of just delusion, of people just talking about things that do not make sense because it lets them feel like there's a chance that the time that they got burned so massively could actually mean that they get to burn somebody else, that they get to find a way out of the hole that they've dug for themselves. And that pit of just, I can't even come up with the right word, of these people who are just so desperately trying to find an answer that doesn't exist is really, really sad to see.
It's upsetting because, like, this graph, right? It's a little terrible, in my opinion. It uses very inconsistent values of data. to display all these large segments of drops without illustrating.
Yeah.
If you don't read the actual values, you don't get a sense of how hard a drop goes and how fast they come. Because to me, this Bitcoin graph is a clearly manipulated market, and yet people would look at this and they still see line go up. My turn to reap the benefits.
And it is not wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's the kind of thing where it's the perspective I have on cryptocurrencies as a whole, right? Is that because they are so inherently unregulated, you have no way ever of knowing whether you are getting in on the grift or the one being grifted. That, like, even if you're trying to run your own grift, right, that can still massively backfire depending on how you go about it. Where, you talk about, you have people, because this is where it came up, where I had this conversation with them where they're saying, like, oh man, I wish I should have bought, I had the chance to spend $1 on Bitcoin 20 years ago. I should have done that. And it's like, well, yeah, you could have, but if you're the kind of person who was going to do that then, when it was such an obviously uncertain and at the time terrible financial decision, you probably wouldn't be in the position where you are today to be like, man, I wish I could have done that, because you would have already gotten grifted and burned out of all of the money that you had at that point.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point to bring up. Bitcoin today isn't some miracle. It's a fucking mountain built on the corpses of many other people who came before you.
Exactly.
Like,
none of this happens in a bubble, right? Or not in a bubble, in isolation. The reason that you have these people that made millions of dollars on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is because you also have millions of people that lost hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And you have no way of knowing which side of that you're going to be on. It is just gambling.
It is your own cognitive self-bias at work. You feeling lucky? Well, are you, punk? Yeah.
Speaking of cryptocurrency, while we're on it, I feel like this is a good chance to talk about the Binance stuff, because this was... I have like 2 or 3 stories for us to go through, actually, for this week. This was the one that really... I guess I can't even say that. This is the one that upset me the second most, because the one that we're going to get to in a second is the one that upset me by far the most this week. But this is a pretty strong contender, with the CEO of Binance getting a pardon from our president. Because this CEO, this company, Binance, is something that shouldn't exist anymore at this point. It is so corrupt and just explicitly amoral in the way that it managed everything, to the degree that their own CEO and many of their executives pled guilty last year to very serious charges on their mismanagement of their cryptocurrency exchange platform. Their CEO in particular pled guilty and served 4 months in jail and had, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Excuse me. Curious what the actual penalty was, because I know November 2023, he agreed to resign from Binance and pay a $50 million fine. It doesn't say. Anyways, the bit of this is that he pled guilty, spent time in jail, had major financial penalties that he was also required to pay over. And what do you know? Instead, he's got a pardon now, so he doesn't have to pay those. At the same time, Binance was bought by a Saudi government wealth fund to the tune of about $2 billion. And after that, the Binance, now owned by the Saudi government, decided to buy a shitload of Trump cryptocurrency to the tune of the Trumps getting some annual returns off of it to like $80 million. Coffeezilla has a really good video going through these in brief, titled just historic levels of corruption, and it really is pretty unheard of to see all of this stuff just being out in the open, and then like the journalistic spaces are just not talking about it at all. It's very surreal.
Dude, it's amazing.
It sure as hell is something, isn't it?
We picked the wrong last names in life. We should have just been born Trump.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. It is really gross to see just, I don't know, because I'm sure a lot of these people would disagree with this interpretation, but to me, it sure feels like they are not just choosing to not report on these things, but are in doing so agreeing with the idea that this is okay to do.
I think you're giving them a little too malicious credit. I do agree that they have a responsibility to do it. Mm-hmm. However, part of me just wonders how much of it is fucking fear or just being, no, it's like half and half, fear and lack of responsibility. Yeah. I'll agree to that halfway.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Because I can't speak for their higher ups, the CEOs.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like we have some, not that I'm going to be more definitive. Major systems of accountability have broken down.
Yeah.
Our Congress has been out of session for a month now, which is really fucking gross. The government still is shut down because of it. And our Supreme Court seems to have abdicated basically all of their responsibilities through the shadow docket. And historically, that was where media stepped in to shine lights on the things that were happening that were bad in order to enact change. And now those have also become, to a degree, complicit. And to the credit of many individuals, there are alternatives that are popping up now that are doing really, really good work. But it feels like a race that they can't run quickly enough.
I think it's a race they can't win because, quite frankly, like, I'll ask you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to a random, we'll make up a woman, right? Her name's Beth. She's a really nice lady.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
She is in her mid-40s. She's got 2 kids. You go up to her on the street, and you have to ask her a question. Question is, what do you recognize more? The name Joe Rogan or Coffeezilla?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to win that fight. And the thing is, Joe Rogan, on a fundamental level, is just more fucking entertaining than this depressing bullshit.
So that's the thing, though, is that I think if you were to do that in the real world,
yeah,
I think you'd get the most common answer would be, I don't know either of those people.
That's fair. That's also very fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, the pool
but I know what you mean.
Is so fucking diluted with so many voices that the good journalism is a niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's also the problem where, because the old guard of traditional media is still being propped up as these shells of their former selves, that the only way to break a lot of people away from that is for those old systems to die completely.
Yeah.
And that can also lead to further problems like we've seen on the internet with the Joe Rogan types, where you get people who are idiots or people who are acting in much more explicitly malicious capacities that are, effective speakers and charismatic, that are able to put themselves out to more people quicker than good information can.
Yeah. Because fuck you. It's easier to talk about something that you're passionate in, that you have built your whole identity around. And you can produce a podcast on that, like, 2 or 3 hours, tops.
Mm-hmm.
Than to actually research this bullshit, make sure your facts are straight, your ducks are in a row, and then you present everything concisely. It's just dark, you know? I think we're gonna eventually get to the bullshit pile. Like, it's always like that slop going around.
Yeah.
I think that entering the cultural lexicon is a good sign all around. I hate that happened, but it's ultimately
yeah.
naming things is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Definitely is. I have seen, so I'm going to just describe this phenomenon I've been seeing lately because I find it really frustrating, is I strongly believe in the idea that words have meaning.
Yeah.
Specific meaning. And I hate that the common lexicon is shirking that completely. And you see it a lot, I find, at least with slop in particular, where people will just apply it as a blanket term to things that they don't like or things that they think are cheap in some way, regardless of the context of them. And it's just not accurate. It's not effective communication. A really good example I find of this was in Magic the Gathering, where in 2023 we had 2 sets in a row. One that was pretty overtly based around detectives and sleuthing and that kind of thing, followed by one that was very explicitly in a desert with cowboys and outlaws especially. And in the detective set, you had a bunch of random fucking people wearing deer stalkers all of a sudden for no reason. And it was really weird and it stood out. And then we go to the cowboy set and you have a bunch of people in cowboy hats and Stetsons all of a sudden. And it's like, what the hell's going on? And from those 2, the phrase hat set was made because it was literally these sets that were putting hats on already established characters and being like, okay, this person you know is now a detective, or this person you know, they're an outlaw, even if it made no sense at all in the context of what was happening. Okay. Since then, over the next 18 months, the term hat set has been used so broadly that it is now basically meaningless because people just decided that everything they don't like is a hat set, or everything that they don't like for a thematic reason is a hat set, even if it objectively is not.
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Like, that's bullshit.
I do agree with your point, though, where it is good that there are words entering public language to describe these things, even if they're not being used accurately all the time.
I think language now has been ultimately condensed a lot. Because, to your credit, you identified a really good point. People will just name something as if that one name with no definition gets across all their complaints with something. Like you said, a hat set. Perhaps we're the Hat Set podcast.
I think we have some good variety.
I think we are. I think
for my next article, let's talk about something depressing. No, I'm kidding. Half kidding.
What do you got? Give me something. What's the second story?
If we're good with that, we're good ending there.
All we're going to do is just mentally jerk off and our points about how everything sucks.
Yeah. So the actual thing this week that by far pissed me off the most, I think there's a lot of stuff, particularly from right-wing trolls, that's like, oh, are you mad? Are you angry? And obviously the vast majority of the time it's just like, no, what are you talking about? Because it's their trolling. But seeing this happen this week is the first time that I've been watching the news, and day by day, I could feel myself getting genuinely angry at what was happening. And that is seeing the imagery coming out of the demolishing of the White House East Wing.
Yo.
God, I'm still really, really pissed about this. It is.
I understand where you're coming
It's so
from.
fucked up.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I don't know what could be said about the modification of the White House that hasn't already been said. I'm kind of ultimately indifferent on it. I just think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars, and it's kind of just a spit in the face of what came before.
I will say, at the very least, what is happening right now is explicitly illegal.
You think so?
Oh, yes. There are multiple laws governing how federal buildings are maintained and the process that needs to happen for major alterations, in particular for the preservation of history, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. And none of those happened with this. Like, Congress has been out of session and the government has been shut down for a month. How could it happen, right? And past that, there's the way that for me is the most obvious part, showing how little care is being given toward this just grotesque construction project, is that the dollar amount keeps changing. Have you seen this happen?
Yes.
Where it was like 2 weeks ago, it was the ballroom's going to be $100 million. Then it was, it's going to be 130. And then it was 200, and then it's 230, and now I think it's up to $350 million because they don't know what they're doing. For one, it is completely. It is, if nothing else, I think the most fascinating, maybe most public view into what is probably Trump's actual business management strategy, where he just does things and he doesn't care. His business management strategy is a complete lack of management strategy, right? The fact that you have this, I'll be frank, relatively minor construction project nearly triple in the span of 2 weeks is, on its face, gross mismanagement. What I think, though, is more the reality is what we saw in the big tech settlements earlier this year. I believe it was Google in particular had the most recent one, where they agreed to a settlement with Trump, where this was over accusations that access to social media was in somehow wrongly removed by these social medias, particularly Facebook and Twitter. Mm-hmm. Those cases were already decided years ago that no, these are private companies. They can allow or disallow anyone that they want on their site, regardless of whether they're a politician or a public figure. So it was explicitly ruled that these companies owed Trump nothing. And then these companies went out of their way to delay rulings so that they could make these settlements, quote unquote, settlements with the Trump administration that just so happened to be in the forms of tens of millions of dollars going to the new White House ballroom project. How nice of them to do that. And this is, again, going back to like the Binance thing. It is explicit corruption. These are not funds being appropriated by Congress through taxes. These are companies bribing our president with a fancy new ballroom that, what do you know, the price on it keeps going up. How crazy is that? It's almost like he keeps getting more money from someplace to do this thing.
It's just all of his good investments, dude. They're just returning so fast.
It's really gross, and I hate it.
It is.
I hate it a lot.
I'm curious. Have you seen the movie Citizen Kane?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It's always struck me as Trump's ballroom is his Xanadu.
Well, so that's the thing, though, is that his Xanadu is Mar-a-Lago.
He's got many Xanadus, let's be very frank.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong, though, in that connection, because the fundamental reason why this is happening at all, like the public reason has been, oh, we need a place to host heads of state and dinner guests, blah, 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 blah. No, you fucking don't.
No.
Been doing this for 250 years. Load of shit. It's that Trump doesn't get to go to Mar-a-Lago as much as he wants to. So he's bringing Mar-a-Lago to Washington, D.C. He can't go to Xanadu, so he's bringing Xanadu to him.
I'm really curious what the fuck that ballroom's going to do when the next president comes in.
I mean, you can't tear it down again.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a giant fucking waste of money to do that. It's already a giant waste of money the first time.
Yeah.
Best thing, though, I would say, if you're going to do something with it to change it, the obvious thing is that you make the fucking ballroom part of it smaller. It doesn't need to be that fucking big. It would be a beautiful slap in the face of Trump for somebody to go in and turn it into some sort of a historical building. Preserve portraits, gifts from heads of state, that kind of thing. Turn it into basically a museum.
Yeah. Why not?
This is basically like a 3-story museum-sized building anyway, allegedly.
I'm sure guests would pay. Well, no, White House tours aren't even paid for, are they?
I don't know.
Yeah. Hard to say. I don't. I have not been to DC, so I don't really know shit about the culture or like tourism there. Yeah.
I have been there exactly once, and I did not get to do much of the touristy stuff.
Fair.
Other than like driving past some of the buildings.
Fair.
Yeah. Man. It's so fucked. I hate it so damn much. Like you can't, if you wrote in like a fiction book or you're trying to do a comedy skit criticizing the president and you tried to pitch the idea of him literally tearing down a third of the White House, you get told to fuck off because it's so absurd and on the nose.
It reminds me of those jokes back when Obama was first becoming president where they said he was going to paint the White House black.
Yeah. Or like because he installed a basketball court somewhere on the White House grounds, that was like destroying history. They made such a big fucking joke about that. But no, I guess apparently you can't because there's explicit laws that say otherwise. But apparently if you're the president, you can just tear down the entirety of the White House. You can just do it. No one can stop you.
Yeah, why not?
I hate it. Because, and then like beyond the cultural and historical significance or the symbolic elements of it, it's also not the president's building. It's owned by all of us. That's like fundamental to the idea of democracy, of government, is that these are not things that are owned by individual. Trump doesn't have the fucking deed. And that's why you're not allowed to just make changes at whim. There are processes and laws that regulate how these things have to happen.
No, fuck you.
He's
president.
The only silver lining in it, I guess, is that Trump will probably never be able to use it. It's expected that construction for this is going to be done in like sometime in 2029, at the end of 2029. So he might get like 2 months to actually see it done. And that's assuming he lives that long, which is not a guarantee, right?
Honestly, I feel like ever since the government shut down, he's not been showing up as much.
Oh, he hasn't. Well, has he? It has been... No, I think he has been. There's been a lot of press conferences.
Has there?
Yeah. They're just not making news because the journalistic integrity is devoid these days. I don't know if he posts on Twitter as well, but on Blue Sky, I highly recommend, I believe it's Aaron Rupar. He is the founder of a sort of news, Aaron Rupar, atrupar.com, at atrupar.com. He founded the Public Notice newsletter, which is now turned into more of a more journalistic focused piece. And basically, God bless this guy, because holy shit, his brain must have turned to mush at this point. He just watches all of these press conferences and pulls out highlights of them and then posts them online. And that means that he's looking through like all of the C-SPAN channels and then all of the major news networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and then even like Newsmax and News Nation and the really shit ones. And I found it in part a bit depressing, I guess would be a fair way of putting it, to see all of this stuff all the time, every day, but extremely informative to see these people in their own world, or in their own words, saying this shit. Not just a report on it, but the actual clip of them saying shit like, well, what was it that Trump said this week? It was like someone asked him if he was going to get a declaration of war or something. And it was just like, nah, we're just going to kill him. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean you're just going to kill him? What the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like, obviously, pretty damn terrifying, but it is at the same time really, really helpful to see these people in their own words just being the gigantic pieces of shit that we all know them to be, right?
Yeah.
It has also been extremely funny seeing literally every press conference with Speaker of the House Johnson, where he knows nothing, or he is, for all of the good liars that the Republican Party has right now, he isn't one of them, because the way that he lies makes him look like an idiot, where he is the Speaker of the House going to these press conferences basically every single day, and people ask him basic fucking questions like, the president said X, do you agree? And his response isn't yes or no, it's, I haven't heard about that, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, do you know anything? What are you doing? Are you an idiot? Are you a liar? Are you just this bad at your job? Because you're running out of options after the 7th day of you answering basic questions with, I haven't heard of that, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Mike is such a weird creature, because I truly don't believe he has like anything going on in his head during those press conferences. And I wonder very much what he's like behind closed doors. Because I'm sure he's probably one of those freaks who thinks he's actually very good at his job, even though he is not.
Yeah, he is good at his job to the extent that he is effective at it, right?
Sure, yeah.
His job right now is to be a roadblock to democracy happening, and he's damn good at that. It is especially damning that the day that Arizona Congresswoman got elected is the day he started shutting down, not shutting down the government, but refusing to seat Congress in new sessions, because he's going to have to take votes, take calls on the floor to swear her in. And once that happens, they have the 218th vote that is needed to vote for the release of the Epstein files.
You know, that's my big question right now. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's the long defeat at this point. What is the fucking next move? You're in check.
I think it really points to that reporting, God, was that 3 or 4 weeks ago, from Senator Swalwell, I think it was, where he was claiming that he had, after discussions with multiple Republican representatives of Congress, he had it on good authority that there was something like 100 people who were just waiting for that vote to happen that were ready to basically turn go. And given how adamantly Johnson is refusing to seat Congress in any capacity, it really seems, it's like the lady doth protest too much, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't think that was going to happen, why are you doing this? It's the only thing that makes sense.
I want to know, because Congress is going to have to come back soon. at this point? Like,
I don't know. Technically, they don't. Technically, he could just keep refusing to seat the House of Representatives until the next election happens. Presumably, at the time that he himself goes up for re-election, or I guess the next time the House of Representatives goes up for re-election, because the whole House turns over at the same time, right? At that point, you would have to swear the House in because he's no longer Speaker. He doesn't have any of the powers that he has to refuse to start a session of Congress. But until 2026, you know, we're in Airbud territory. There's no rule that says he has to.
Isn't he under like a threat of lawsuit right now for like? I don't know.
He is, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But he will play that out to the very end, and all the way up to the Supreme Court. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Supreme Court was like, well, Speaker of the House is the Speaker of the House. He makes the rules. Sorry. You know, explicitly because it's a Republican Speaker of the House. If it was a Democrat, they'd be like, no, you have to seat that person today.
Dude, the longer it goes on, the more he's just gonna... I just don't get it. You know, he could easily just turn coat with the rest of everybody, and he could probably land on his feet. He's not...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, not Johnson. He's been way too public of an official. He has been the one spearheading all of the questions of like, why won't you release the Epstein files? And then he waffles and goes on it. And those clips are circulating. Like, he's obviously not going to be as well known as the president or the vice president, but he is number 3 in line for a reason. And he is in a very public position.
Fair.
Yeah. And thankfully, to that point, the people, you know, in polling, they do seem to understand who is at, you know, responsibility for it. They know that the Senate and the House and the White House are all Republican controlled, and they are putting the blame at them. So just have to wait and see, right? Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? The big one right now that I have no idea how it's going to turn out. It is, again, explicitly illegal. I don't know how it's going to rule in a Supreme Court case, is that apparently Trump has one of his billionaire buddies who has offered something like $130 million to, quote unquote, pay the military during this shutdown. Even though that works out, somebody did the math on it. It works out to something like $70 per person. That's
bullshit.
It's literally not. They have something like 1.6 million troops that are still active. So it's like, it's obviously not paying the military. It's paying brass at best. And probably the top brass, the commander-in-chief, is all it's going to.
Please don't military coup.
Until there's any sort of, you know, anything to come out of this in a court, we're stuck with a billionaire giving the president $130 million. Just do it.
I feel bad for the military. You go through
it's hard
bullshit training camp. You know, you get destroyed as an individual and rebuild into the country's, you know, at this point, a functional whipping boy or girl, whoever you are in the military. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, no, I do. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but I guess that is an interesting way to leverage into the what's the guy's name? Graham Plattner, Maine Senate candidate, very, very early days, but an individual from Maine who's positioning himself as a Democratic candidate trying to challenge the incumbent Republican Maine senator who has been in office many, many, many years in a row and is very much weakened her position. But it came out that this guy, Graham Plattner, who is, I believe, an ex-Marine, something like that. He was in the military for like 20 years, very long time. He had an explicit Nazi symbol tattooed on his chest.
Why am I not surprised?
Allegedly, he claims he did not know what it was, that he got it very early on in his military career when they were stationed in like Germany or Austria, somewhere in Europe, and he and his friends got drunk and they went and got tattoos. He didn't know what it was until later, and in response to this story breaking, he has since gotten it mostly covered up. It doesn't look like a Totenkampf, the Nazi symbol, anymore. Yeah, this AP article describes it well. Hastily covered up. But it does raise a lot of questions that I don't think have particularly easy answers about how do we, as people, where do we draw the line for people, making amends with past wrongs? Where is the line for that? Is getting your Nazi tattoo covered up 3 days after a story breaks good enough to make amends for getting that explicit Nazi tattoo in the first place? Even if you as an individual have, I think, pretty clearly this guy has never been affiliated with Nazis in any way. Mm-hmm. He seems genuine in his political stances these days, where he has not quite swung around, but become more firm in more, I guess, socialist-ish stances, particularly, it seems, after his experiences after leaving the military and the troubles that he had with PTSD and trying to navigate the VA. It doesn't have an easy answer.
No.
I am not sure where I fall on this, where, like, obviously getting the tattoo covered up or removed is the bare minimum. That's step one. I am just not convinced yet that step two is become a member of the Senate.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said about forgiveness, but
absolutely,
I think forgiveness is not something you get immediately. I don't think it's something you're entitled to immediately. And the fact that, oh boy, I got caught. 3 days later, I fixed the problem. That's great. You took a step, but there's still like, what next? It's not transactional like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The other part of this that I think is probably the more deserving question to be asked is, why is it that the American military is so casually getting a bunch of fucking Nazi tattoos? That's the bigger problem, where you have people getting like actual SS lightning bolts because they think it's some special sniper thing or whatever. Like, there's clearly extremely systemic problems in our military that aren't being addressed, and it's not hard to imagine why that is.
Correct.
So, last piece I have. Okay. Since we were gone, somebody broke into the Louvre.
Oh, I forgot about this story. Holy fuck. Yes, go on.
A group of, I believe, men in Paris, France, dressed as construction workers and using a cherry picker, were able to gain access to a second floor window of the Louvre open it up from the outside, enter the building, cut open multiple display cases showing gems and jewelry inlaid with gems using angle grinders, go back out through the window in the cherry picker, and leave on motorcycles. It's gotten a lot of attention because it is the Louvre being broken into. That's a major deal. The jewelry stolen is of pretty major historical significance for, French history. These are like former royal jewelry and crowns and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then also it is confirming the internet's suspicion that you can get access to anywhere, basically anytime, as long as you have a yellow vest and a clipboard. There was also, in the immediate aftermath of it, where police were investigating, some guy walking around in like Poirot cosplay.
No.
Just fully kitted out top to bottom, and apparently he was allowed into a bunch of the crime scenes, and pictures of it were circulating around, and it took a couple of days before the French authorities confirmed, like, actually, yeah, we don't know who this guy is. Sorry.
You cannot say that's true. Fuck you.
Do you want a picture?
No, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, yeah.
You're fucking with me.
Yeah. If you just search Louvre Detective, first thing that comes up.
Oh my fucking god. I'm so pissed. I'm not even talking to my mic properly. You're getting echo now. I'm so pissed.
Credit to the guy. He looks damn good.
He looks fucking amazing. Do you think he did the Belgian accent like Hercule Poirot as well?
Oh, I hope so.
I was listening to an audiobook of one of Agatha Christie's books. I think it was ABC Murders. And the fucker reading the book did a Hercule Poirot like Belgian accent the whole time. It starts off incredibly charming, but like by hour 4, you hate it. You hate it so much.
Yeah.
All respect to our Belgian listeners. All 5 of you.
That's basically all of Belgium.
Is it all Belgium? No, I thought there was a 6th. I've been trying to break into that market.
Anyways, the news today is that 2 suspects were finally arrested. So we'll see what happens. Credit to the guys. They did a major heist. They almost got away with it.
I respect it. Like, they could have done the funnier thing of just taking the Mona Lisa, but I'm guessing that was way too dangerous.
Yeah. There's also, like, jewels are very easy to not pawn off, obviously, but, colloquially pawn off, because they are jewels. You can take the metal and smash that down or melt it down and just sell it for street value. But for jewels, you can just recut them, and then they're unidentifiable as what they originally were. So I personally wouldn't be surprised, given the high profile nature of all of this, if there was like something a bit more what's the word, premeditated in their targets. But even if it's not unheard of to see people do this, targeting these particular types of items anyways.
That's me. Oh my god. Yeah, I think that's the first time I sneezed on recording. How unprofessional.
I was kind of thinking that. I don't think I've done that. It's kind of funny how your body just like turns that part off.
Dude, like all these years of broadcasting, for the 10th year anniversary, we broke the sneeze rule. Do you think the detective was like in on the heist?
No, absolutely not.
It'd be funny.
It would be very funny, but no, I highly doubt it.
It was their inside man just collecting the talker down.
I did find an article that apparently this photo was taken at that time. It was legitimate, but it was taken in an area where these French cops were just like sort of hanging out. They weren't actually investigating, and there's a bunch of other pictures of other people just walking through because it's just like an alley.
That's fair.
So it was
That's
just a
fair.
bit of a coincidence. But, you know, when has a coincidence ever stopped the internet?
That cameraman had be in on it at least. He was like, bro, let me just like take
Oh,
a
yeah,
photo."
for sure. Because, like, it didn't just start as like, hey, look at this picture. Somebody posted it as like, is this a French detective investigating the Louvre case? So, yeah, people knew.
Ugh.
I guess this is a good way to go into the movies, because the first one that I have for us today is The Mastermind, which is, you're not going to believe this, in a sedate Massachusetts suburb circa 1970, unemployed family man and amateur art thief J.B. Mooney sets out on his first heist. With a museum case and accomplices recruited, he has an airtight plan, or so he thinks. This seems like a sort of Cannes scale type movie. I was trying to see if there's any showings of it, because it has a 91% from critics, unfortunately a 29% from audiences, though given the extremely limited theatrical release, I have no idea how genuine that actually is. So, but, you know, can't pass up the art theft movie in the same week that we had the Louvre heist.
No, that's actually pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. Next up in the rundown are the quick stuff. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This is a A24 flick, a thriller. With her life crashing down around her, Linda attempts to navigate her child's mysterious illness, her absent husband, a missing person, and an increasingly hostile relationship with her therapist. Very positive ratings from this one. Again, limited release. 93% from critics, 71% from audiences, describing it at the critical side as a fever dream immersion into parental stress.
That's fair.
Yeah. We also have Truth and Treason, World War II history-ish flick. As World War II rages, a teenage boy in Germany is forced to confront a terrible truth. Loyalty to his country now means loyalty to a lie. When his trusted bishop urges obedience to the Nazi regime, he begins to question everything. And after his Jewish friend is taken away, he secretly listens to banned radio broadcasts and launches a resistance, exposing the truth. But in a nation ruled by fear, defiance comes at a cost. And as the regime closes in, he must decide what it truly means to be a good German.
Okay, I want to talk about something real quick. I've never agreed with this fucking fantasy of like, if I was in Nazi Germany, I would have been the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't believe that. I think people who do that are just up their ass. Like, we can acknowledge it was terrible, but I doubt the average citizen really knew what the fuck was going on around that time. And they were just trying to get by.
Apparently, this is based on a real person story.
Oh, fuck me.
But I do agree with your perspective, and I would hope that, given the byline of this, that is what is trying to be explored. Is like, what are the real push and pull of somebody who is in a position where they don't have to care as much, and what pushes them to give a shit, more or less.
Yeah, because like, I think stories like Schindler's List are remembered so well because they are very much the outlier. And when so many people have a common opinion like that, I don't think anything like that is very true. Like,
because we have the statistics. We know what happened in Nazi Germany.
Yeah. I truly believe nobody wanted it. I can believe that people,
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, you know what I mean, though. No decent person wanted it.
Sure.
Yeah. I can believe there was sympathy felt. But again, I don't know how much the average person knew. I'm not a fucking weirdo who goes all over World War II Germany. Yeah.
And especially, it's very easy to say, oh, I would have done X or Y, I would have housed Jewish people. But, like, would you be willing to have your son or daughter be put at risk in doing that?
Yeah.
And where do you have the line? It's a very easy thing to say, but it's a very hard thing to actually prove that you would do. And to really, put the irons to a lot of the folks that say that, we live in a world where you can already do a lot of this stuff. You can go out and protest. You can go out and find organizations to volunteer time at to help people who are being systemically disadvantaged or discriminated against by the government. And even if it's not happening in your country, there are other resources that you can go to try to help people in other countries who are explicitly being, disadvantaged and mistreated. So, like,
Yeah.
words are good, but there's actions you can take right now to would back them up a lot stronger.
In my opinion, like the boycott for against all the people that support Israel. I'm not fundamentally against that by any means. What I find very interesting is the levels of which people take the boycott, because like you can avoid Amazon, totally cool, no problem.
Yeah.
How do you avoid AWS?
Mm-hmm.
Because AWS,
we saw that this week.
Exactly. Like that's what reminded me when the AWS crash happened. I heard nobody talk about the fact that those businesses directly support Amazon, who in turn support Israel. So like, where do you draw the line on all that shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just interesting. It's so interesting to like be on the internet, because so many people have such self-bias and they don't fully understand like the level they speak is not matching their actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thankfully, that goes the other way as well. It's very easy for people to say hateful, awful things online. It's another thing for them to actually do them in person. And that's often what we see with a lot of people, is that once they're actually confronted with the reality of the hate that they're saying, anonymously, it forces them to address that. It doesn't work all the time, but that is why universities in particular, right, are so often attacked for, their supposed unfair diversity, because that diversity forces people to confront their preconceptions and often recognize that the perspectives that they had before were either wrong or incomplete.
Yeah. No, 1,000%.
For Truth and Treason, I think this is kind of funny. It has a 96% from audiences, 83% from critics, but skimming through the critic reviews, because there is not a lot of them, I thought it really interesting, the common through line. So I'm going to read a couple. From Variety, Whitaker's film never surprises at any point during its running time, failing to add any singular artistic flair. While telling a compelling story, it plays like so many other films about that dark time and not so distant European history. From RogerEbert.com, to be clear, Truth and Treason is exactly the movie it wants to be. It's just that what it wants to be isn't all that interesting.
Ooh. And
then from Battleship Pretension, I can't help wondering how much more effective the story of Helmut Hubner would be, how much more harrowing, how much more challenging, how much more tangible, if it were told by a director willing to take some narrative and stylistic risks.
I think there's what's the word? One of those reviews right there, the one about like not too distant time. It really wasn't that long ago. We're not even 100 years removed.
Absolutely.
But there's like this very fairy tale aspect to it, just because it got a somewhat happy ending. I think Hollywood has helped contribute that, and I think that's why this movie is definitely just another spoke in the wheel, if you will.
It has definitely been mythologized in a way that is not particularly healthy, and that gives it a feeling of separation in a way that it shouldn't be. Yeah.
Germany's a fucking fairy tale land, don't you know?
Yeah, it doesn't actually exist anymore.
Yeah. And we don't talk about how Japan committed so many war crimes and we committed the ultimate war crime to them, but just don't think about it,
Yeah, just don't think about it.
Just don't think about it.
Next on the list, we have Good Fortune. I'm going to find a better synopsis for this one because the Rotten Tomatoes one is, I'm finding, very short. Let's see what IMDb has. It's probably the same thing because it's all, yeah. A well-meaning but rather inept angel named Gabriel, played by Keanu Reeves, meddles in the lives of a struggling gig worker and a wealthy venture capitalist, Aziz Ansari and Seth Rogen, respectively.
What the fuck?
This one caught my eye in part. I mean, obviously, it's a Keanu Reeves movie. That's a notable part. Wasn't he in something before that? How is this being sorted? Wasn't he in like something before where he also played like an angel?
You know,
Or am I getting him mixed up?
for some reason I thought of Dogma immediately.
I don't think it's Dogma that I'm thinking of, but I don't actually know. Because the one that I'm thinking of isn't like a comedy or anything like that. It's like a more of an action movie.
Devil's Advocate?
Constantine,
Ah.
I think. I'm pretty sure it's Constantine. Yeah, 2005 Constantine. Where he plays John Constantine, but the angel Gabriel is also in it. That's where I was getting mixed up. Okay. So yeah, Good Fortune, currently getting 78% from critics, 80% from audiences. Very generally promising, or generally positive. This is apparently the directorial feature debut of Aziz Ansari, so that's pretty neat.
That's cool.
It's a nice sort of change of pace after all of the John Wick movies to see Keanu Reeves doing a comedy as well.
I would love to see Keanu do like more branching out from action.
Yeah. I guess to his credit, he just skimming through his recent credits of the last 5 movies he did. One was this, one was Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and apparently he has started voicing Robbie Rotten in the Lazy Town stuff.
Fuck it, why not?
Good for him.
Yeah. Keanu just doesn't need to do shit anymore. He just does what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He is our Shadow the Hedgehog.
Next on the docket, Black Phone 2, the sequel to Black Phone. I didn't see the first one. We have a 73% from critics, 84% from audiences. It seems like it's a pretty good sequel.
Oh boy. Anything else?
Yes, Frankenstein.
Who would go see that piece of shit?
Yeah, who would see that? Oscar del Toro adapts Mary Shelley's classic of Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist who brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation.
I'm so excited to see this. I'm seeing this after the show tonight. You people have
Very
no
well
idea.
reviewed. 86% from critics, 95% from audiences.
Good.
Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein. Oh, that's interesting.
That's inspired casting.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz as, I assume, the detective.
Can I be very blunt about something?
Interesting. Yeah, go for it.
I've never read Frankenstein.
I haven't either.
Ah, fair.
It's old. I think the real question is, will it end up being better than Young Frankenstein?
Let's check. No.
Yeah. Very few things ever will be.
I think it'll be very cool to I don't know. Like, I'm going into this movie with no expectations other than Del Toro is one of my favorite directors, so I'm expecting I'm going to like it just on that foundation. So, I don't know what to say other than I'm, like, giddy. I'm giddy for this. This and Wake Up Dead Man are my movies this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck Superman, fuck Fantastic Four. This is the shit I've been waiting for.
Well, that's all I got.
Well, that's all I got as well.
Let me do a quick check here, make sure nothing crazy happened while we were recording. I don't think there's anything. Yeah.
I keep going on Twitter.
I mean, you know, things are always happening, right? But if we did that, we'd be here all night.
Yeah. I keep going on Twitter because, like, I'm expecting the news to come out any day now. Donnie Day. And every time I go on there, I'm just a little disappointed to see people just bitching about Halo campaign involved. Ugh.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Man, I think I heard something about that, but I just have such a hard time caring about what is this? Is like the third or fourth Halo remake?
Third, and there's AI,
yeah.
And it's not even multiplayer,
nice.
So why give a fuck?
I guess I would give that a little bit of credit. There is so many multiplayer shooters that having something that's just like, no, we're just going to do the single player part is like, okay, I respect you. You're probably not going to make much money, but, you know, stick to your guns, I guess.
It's the first Halo for PS5, though. They're going to make a lot of money.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm the Official Ryan. Thank you for listening to this show. Yeah, I've got nothing.
And I'm Cairo, and I'm also a Schmo.
Woohoo. And this has been my morning at this point.